What's up guys, and welcome to Wall Street Millennial. On this channel, we cover everything related to stocks and investing. In this video, we're going to go over some of the greatest gains and losses on the Wallstreetbets forum so we can learn from other traders' experiences. Before we get started, make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. First up, let's revisit the legend Keith Gill, aka DeepFuckingValue. He posted an update on his GameStop positions on March 8th, which was when GameStop was trading around $170 a share. Since then, shares have gone up an additional $100 or so, or 55%. We all know DeepFuckingValue for being a die-hard GameStop proponent who almost never sells his shares and has made literally millions of dollars as a result of his diamond hands. As of March 8th, that allowed his GameStop portfolio to increase in value to a total of about $30 million, plus nearly $12 million he has sitting in cash. Back on February 19th, he posted this update showing that he had in fact doubled down on his GameStop bet by buying an additional 50,000 shares of GameStop at a price of about $38 a share. It turns out that he timed it pretty much perfectly, and GameStop has since increased in value by nearly 7 times. As a result, he has made $23 million, more than doubling his money, despite having been holding 2/3 of his portfolio in cash. DeepFuckingValue has become a saint to Wallstreetbets. User GullibleExpression4 points out that at the congressional hearing on GameStop last month, some of the congresspeople showed so little respect for Keith that they were pretty much daring him to hold on to his shares. Clearly, they thought that anyone who was holding GameStop was destined to lose their investment. User DWeiss19 says that after doubling down at $38 a share, making millions of dollars just solidifies DeepFuckingValue's status as a living legend. It's one thing to make a lucky bet that happens to pay off one time. We've seen plenty of lucky gambles on this channel before. What makes DeepFuckingValue so unique is that it really wasn't a typical Wallstreetbets YOLO. He had strong conviction on the stock for a long time and stuck with the investment thesis even after making millions because he thought GameStop was still undervalued. User Jaboyles says, he did his research and his thesis was rock solid. He got those $12 calls for $20 a piece. It seems so obvious now looking back, doesn't it? He had to wait 2 years for these gains. That's the key to buying low, being first and waiting. If Keith Gill wasn't already a legend, the fact that he went before Congress and told the world that GameStop was still a buy, then put millions of dollars into reloading his position right before the stock went from $38 a share to $300 a share, would become a household story. Next up, we have a trade that didn't go quite as well. We have user Stuck in Motion Inc., who was down $60,792 or 99.99% on his GameStop YOLO after shares were briefly halted midday on March 10th. GameStop had a wild trading day on the 10th, with shares reaching an intraday high of $344. But shortly after noon, it tanked more than 40%, triggering the stock's exchange circuit breaker to briefly halt shares. Circuit breakers are emergency use regulatory measures meant to stop panic selling or manic buying of either individual securities or the stock market as a whole. There are different tiers of stocks that have different thresholds for triggering a circuit breaker. GameStop is a tier 2 stock because its share price is above $3. If a tier 2 stock decreases by more than 20% within 5 minutes, shares are automatically halted for up to 10 minutes. When the circuit breaker hit and shares were halted, this Wallstreetbets user's calls went haywire and they tanked from $80 per call down to 1 cent, blowing past all of his stop loss orders without triggering them. This showed a $60,000 loss in his position. Watching such a large sum of money vanish instantly was a traumatic experience, and he briefly saw his life flash before his eyes. Fortunately, this ended up being a false alarm, and after trading of GameStop shares resumed, his calls recovered and his portfolio value got back to where it started at the beginning of the day. Although if he had held his calls until the end of the day, he would have lost money. His cost basis was $76, and as of market close on March 10th, they were only worth $37.90. This represents a 50% loss, but even that is not as bad as the 99.99% loss his account showed during the circuit breaker. In general, options have much less volume than stocks, and consequently, their trading is not nearly as smooth. So whenever you see some crazy price action in the options positions, it's important to take a step back and analyze what is actually going on. Next up, we have user Zork59, who posted some surprisingly massive gains on Palantir. Palantir is the famed software and data analytics company that has periodically gone in and out of favor with Wallstreetbets. It went public late last year through a direct listing among a lot of hype, but was the target of short reports and accusations of the stock being overvalued and used as a gambling tool. It has had trouble breaking through the $35 range recently, seemingly stuck in a range-bound sideways motion since December. But that didn't stop this diamond hands holder from making $444,000 by holding Palantir's stock, good for a 377% gain on his investment. The first thing that comes to mind is that Palantir has not even gone up 377% from its all-time low until now. Its all-time low was about $8.90, from which it is now about 196% up. So how did the OP manage to make 377% on Palantir while only holding the stock? It turns out that he is probably an employee at Palantir because he got in pre-listing at $5.51 a share. It is unclear if he continues to hold on to the stock because he has some insider lockup on the shares, if he is waiting for a year to pass to realize the gains as long-term capital gains, or if he's just bullish on the stock. In any case, six-figure gains is already a win. Most of the comment section is overwhelmingly congratulatory, with some people congratulating him on his gains, others commenting that they wish that they were the OP. But there's always that one guy lurking in the comment section waiting to give the obligatory FU to the gains. Next off, we have user ZestyClothesland941, who has not been having a great month in the stock market. He YOLO'd $26,000 into 36 deep out-of-the-money put contracts with expiry dates ranging from March 12th to March 19th. Over the past month, Tesla has been on a bumpy ride as it fell victim to the recent tech sell-off. Shares fell 36% from the high on January 26th to the low on March 8th. This Wallstreetbets user either thought that Tesla was still overvalued at this level, or at least thought the near-term downward momentum would continue, so he piled into Tesla puts. Unfortunately for this Wallstreetbets user, on March 9th, just a couple days after initiating his short position, the China Passenger Car Association published automobile sales data for the month of February. Industry-wide car sales quadrupled compared to February 2020 to 1.2 million, and Tesla saw strong growth, selling 18,318 cars produced in its new Shanghai Gigafactory. These strong sales numbers are especially impressive as February included the Chinese New Year holiday, during which people don't normally buy cars. This positive news was enough to push Tesla stock up 19% on that day alone, and shares are now trading at about $670, or 20% higher than his highest strike price. This led to an 81% or $18,000 one-day loss for this trader's puts. While he lost $21,000 on his bearish Tesla bet, he lost even more on his other positions. Over the past month, his entire portfolio decreased in value by $56,000, or 88.67%. But he was well aware of these risks when he initiated the positions. He went all in. He said if it works out, he will have enough to buy a Lamborghini, but if it goes tits up, he will be poor enough to qualify for food stamps. We wish you luck on your future plays. Next off, we have user Long and Thick X, who is down 91%, or over $9,000 in the past month. At 19 years old, this Wallstreetbets user is relatively new to investing. At the beginning of the pandemic, he bought a bunch of exercise equipment, and in April he was able to sell them online at a huge profit because demand soared. With gyms being closed, people rushed to buy home gym equipment, causing prices to rise. By selling exercise equipment, he was able to make $5,000 of profit, which he put into the stock market. His timing was impeccable as he bought in at the April lows and benefited from the record bull market of 2020. This allowed him to turn $5,000 of initial investment into $16,000 at the peak. Unfortunately, stocks do not always go up, and he lost all of his gains and then some in the recent tech correction. He owned 790 strike calls on Tesla, expiring March 19th. The calls are more than $100 out of the money, and with less than 2 weeks left until expiry, there is only a slim chance that they will expire in the money. He also owns 55 strike calls on CCIV, expiring on April 16th. While he still has over a month before this expires, it's more than 100% out of the money. Needless to say, these two positions have been a disaster over the past month and have contributed to the vast majority of his 91% loss. Despite suffering this early setback in his investing career, he has no plans on quitting. He will just use this as a learning experience and hopefully will make better trades next time. We wish you luck. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. If you like the content, don't forget to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and while you're at it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for future videos. Also, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and check out our second channel, WSM Research, where we post regular updates on high-growth tech stocks. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Wall Street Millennial, signing out.